Welcome everyone to the New Fly Fisher. On today's show, we travel to Key West, Florida with co-host Jeff Pierce. Jeff is going after the top predator of the ocean, the shark. All aspects of fly fishing for shark will be covered, so get ready to take notes and don't go away. This is going to be an exciting one.
Killer.
Let him go back to live another day.
Oh, baby!
Look at that fish.
World record!
We talked earlier about having the optimum conditions. Here we've got perfect conditions.
This is a good example of the family Heptageneidae.
This is why you need a lot of backing.
On today's show, the New Fly Fisher crew is fishing the waters around Key West, Florida. An incredibly beautiful area and a fly fisher's heaven. Joining Jeff is Captain Justin Ray, an extremely knowledgeable fly fishing guide who knows the area like the back of his hand. Justin has promised Jeff an exciting day. Key West is the last island of the Florida Keys. Connected by bridges and causeways, the Florida Keys span some 110 miles in length, and Key West is located 129 miles from Miami. There's only one highway into the Keys, and that's U.S. Route number 1, or A1A. The Florida Keys is the third largest barrier reef in the world and the only living coral reef in the USA.
They pull okay, huh?
Oh, they pull great. I love bonnet heads. I'm an equal opportunity angler.
Hey, something to fish for in shallow water when the water temperature is 70, you know?
If you're on the flat where the fish are, a lot of times you're going to see bonnet heads. This is a type of hammerhead shark, little guy. And they're a blast. They take a lot of line. You got to cast fairly accurately to them. It's good practice.
Really good
and
practice.
They bend a rod and they pull drag. What more can you ask for? There we go. Mr. Bonnethead.
Mr. Bonnethead. Ate that fly, right?
Yes, he did.
Right good, didn't he?
He ate it real good. Are we gonna have to donate that? You want me to grab him while you get pliers, or
Oh,
you got it?
Bogum. Open his mouth.
Oh yeah, there it is. I see it. I got pliers right here.
Open.
Open up. There it is. There it is, right there.
Perfect.
There we go. Nice little brown merkin, just like you said.
Pretty interesting shape, huh?
Back he goes.
All right.
Very nice. Very nice.
Fun, huh?
Good job. Let's do it again.
All right, the type of boat I'm running is a flat skiff. It runs, I can pull it in about 7 inches of water. So we're fishing pretty shallow water for the tarpon, the bonefish, and the permit. It's a lightweight boat. It's fairly quick. I got a 90 Yamaha on the back. I can take 2 anglers. And I'm standing up here on the pulling platform, pushing it all day long.
So Justin, a lot of times when guys come down to the Keys, they're thinking bonefish, permit, tarpon, but a lot of these guys are trout guys or they're bass guys, and they've not done that before. And I think a great primer is to play with the bonnet heads, to go after the cudas, where it doesn't take quite the casting skill, I think. And
Definitely, you know, a lot of people think, you know, bonefish, permit, and tarpon before they come to the Keys, and we do have all 3 of those, and it can be really good. But we're here in March, and the wind is blowing, you know, 20 out of the northeast, and the water temperature cools off. But we have all kinds of other fish to fish for. Like these little bonnethead sharks are an excellent target with an 8-weight rod and a little merkin fly. And it's a lot like bone fishing, you know, you're throwing to a fish and watching the fish turn around and eat the fly, and you got to do the whole same deal as bone fishing, you know, strip set, don't lift the rod tip to get the hook in the fish's mouth. And then we got kudas in here too, which is, you know, a little bit different technique. We're fishing needlefish flies, trying to spot the fish away from the boat a little ways so you can cast to it, let the fly sink, let the fish kind of track the fly, and what it takes is some bigger, longer strips sometimes to get the fish to eat. So you want to see that fish a little bit further away from the boat, so you have, you know, a little bit more time to tease them into biting. But we got these bonnethead sharks all over in here.
What's this right here?
That's a bonnethead.
Bonnet.
Hey Jeff, I'm going to use the front of the boat as a 12 o'clock reference, okay?
Yep.
That pointy end will always be 12. Off the left-hand side's 9, so, you know, 10, 11. I'll always try to give you a shot off the left-hand side because you're a right-hand caster. If we see a fish over at 1 o'clock, I'll just have you point your rod to 1 o'clock. We'll lock onto the fish. I'll spin the boat around and give you a shot off the left-hand side.
Okay.
So, you know, seeing that the time on the boat's very important, getting us both locked on that fish.
Watch your draft. Here, fishy, fishy. I smell bonnet heads.
Got a bigger one coming down here at 10:30, 11.
Yeah, I see him.
Throw it nice and long to him. It's a good angle. Oh, great cast. There, strip. No. Looking for it. There, he got it.
There we go. Fish on. Clearing line. It's nice when the fish clears the line for you, but sometimes,
He's gonna go.
yeah, there he goes. Like that. I'm gonna be all warmed up on my casting for bonefish season.
That's right. That's what we're looking for.
There we go.
Little pull.
Got a barracuda looking at him.
Is there?
Yeah, right here. See him right here now?
Oh, yeah,
Here he
I
comes
do.
at him. Need to be ready for anything.
I'll help you, Jeff. Hold on 1 sec.
You got him?
Yep. Come and grab him.
It is cool watching him just figure 8 like that on that fly.
Yeah.
Hooked right around his bonnet.
Yeah, that's a perfect spot to get him hooked right there.
Let's see if the spots on here or not. Just
Perfect.
looking for the... It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see all these little white or these dark spots here. Those are called the ampullae of Lorenzini, and these are their electrosensors. So they can sense a crab, a shrimp, or a wrasse hiding in the mud 3 inches under. And they'll start digging and look for them. They'll start figure 8ing like you did on the fly there.
I think he's
None worse
ready
for
to
the whip,
go.
yeah. There you go. Sweet. Let's talk a little bit about rods. Here on the flats, depending on the species of fish you're going to come across, we're using everything from a 7 weight all the way on up to a 12. If we've got no wind at all, we're playing with bonefish bonnet heads, we may go with a 7 weight. A little bit more wind or a little bit bigger flies, we may go to an 8. Moving on up to a 10 when we get into some of the bigger fish, they're going to pull a little more, whether it's the permit, smaller tarpon, bonefish, some of the smaller sharks. But we're also then going to move into the bigger rods and reels. This is a 12 weight here, fighting grip up here. Some of the bigger fish, the tarpon here, you know, you got a shot at a fish, you might hook a fish that's 150 pounds. You got to have a rod with a significant backbone to it. A lot of guys will mistakenly put a hand up here and hinge and break rods, so this is specifically to keep you from doing that. Rod lengths, I like a 9 foot, anywhere from 9 to 10. A little bit longer, the better, especially if you're not as good a caster. You can get the fly out a little bit further. Some of your shots at fish, especially bonefish, could be 60, 70, 80 feet. And that longer rod helps you load the rod and get the fly out there a little bit quicker. When it comes to reels down here, again, we're fishing anywhere from a 7 to as large as a 12 weight. So I like the large arbor style reels only because when that cuda grabs a fly and comes at you and goes shooting past the boat, does a U-turn and then heads the other direction, I want to be able to gain line really quickly. So a reel like this is typically in that 9-10 weight range. Can drop down to a little bit smaller reel. This would be more along the lines of a 7. You could put an 8 on there. And then for the bigger stuff, say tarpon and the bigger sharks, 11-12 weight, we're using quite a bit bigger reel. These reels, you need capacity, significant capacity. As good as your guide is, when the fish wants to leave the flat, he's leaving. So this particular reel here has about 600 yards of spectra on it. Not necessarily needed here for the flats. We do a little bit of offshore stuff with it as well. But I honestly wouldn't come down here with a reel that's going to hold less than 250 yards of backing, because there are times when your fish goes or you double up, inevitably your buddy's fish goes the other way. You want to have that backing capacity in order to be able to keep those fish buttoned up and get them to the boat. There he is.
There he is. I mean, what good target practice is that, you know what I mean? That's gonna help you catch a permit later. Or a bonefish.
Bonefish won't give you that many shots.
Anything, you know?
It's just cool. I mean, to me, it's, whoa, what are these coming here?
Watch them, watch them.
Cudas are just blew up on something. That's worth the price of admission. Little shaver.
You got him?
Yeah, I can get him.
Okay.
I've wrestled my share. Come here. Maybe. There we go. Got leader. Come here, buddy. Oh, perfect.
Good release.
Out it goes. See you later.
Look over here to the left. I got one coming out of the mangroves.
Oh yeah, I see him.
Oh, he sees it. Looking.
Ah, behind him.
There you go.
There he is.
Oh, nice.
It's fast and furious. This is fun.
I really like how you buried the rod butt in your forearm when you're clearing your line. A lot of people get butt wrapped right there. If you don't bury that butt in your forearm, it takes that out of the equation.
That's a good tip. You can tell I've maybe learned that before.
Hey, he bit it good, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Slammed it.
Come here, buddy. Let you go find your own crabs to eat. There we go. Once you get a good grip on them, all right, there we go. Perfect spot too, no teeth. Keep the hands out of the gills. We're gonna use pliers here. I don't like getting too close to the business end. No, he wasn't going anywhere. Whew. I think we'll pinch the barbs down on the next one.
Yeah.
There we go. Easy. Kind of neat looking fish. Let's get him over the side here. All right, I'm wet enough. Go away. Very nice.
Good job.
I like it. When it comes to lines, fishing here, again, species of fish, conditions, the particular flat that you're on is going to vary the type of lines that you're going to need. For starters, you can't take your steelhead line and bring it out here. It's 80 degrees, 85 degrees. In July, it can be in the 90s, and your line is going to be sticky. It's going to knot. It's not going to cast well. These lines are built specifically for tropical conditions. They have a monofilament core to them. They're stiffer. You try and fish something like this up in the warm, in the cold area up north, you'll notice the difference. So these are made for those conditions. It can be hot out and the line's still going to cast well. This is a full floating line. This is what typically we're going to be using here. On occasion, in certain circumstances, especially when the fish are shy, you can see this is a clear tip line, or we'll actually fish a full clear line. Now, the clear lines don't float. It's a very slow sink, but when you need a really stealthy presentation, you have a group of fish, this line in the water is not going to spook a bonefish or permit as opposed to as easily as this line does. But for the most part, floating lines, we'll use some sink tips. Typically, unless we're doing something further offshore, we're not using a full sink or a depth charge line. But there are some circumstances where you may target some of the tarpon in the channels where you may want a full sink. But if you come down with a floating and a clear sink tip, you'll have the gambit covered. When we're inshore fishing, we're going to use several different types of patterns where you're going to fish basic crab style patterns like this, like these guys here. Shrimp patterns. This is one of about 8,000 different shrimp patterns out there. Basic stuff like this. This is another little crab style fly here that's very popular down here. And even sometimes we're fishing reds, snook, depending on where we are. We've even taken bonefish with them. I mean, just a basic clouser. So inshore, you're basically looking at small bait fish patterns. You're looking at shrimp patterns and crab patterns primarily. When we come out on flats, it's important to make sure that you're prepared leader-wise. This particular leader I've got in my hand here is what we're going to use for cirro mackerel on the edge of the reef. In here in shallow, we'll use it for sharks and barracudas. There's single strand wire is what I prefer. There's some multi-strand out there, but I think it kinks a little too much. This particular wire is titanium. It's not cheap, but I can catch 10 or 15 or even 20 sharks on this before anything happens to it. So it's worth the money. They're fairly easy to tie, and what I do, once the fishing gets fast and furious, it's tough to take the time in the boat to do it. So you can see here I've got a bunch marked. These are a little bit lighter wire for, this is mainly king mackerel and sharks. I've got some other ones in here for cudas, smaller sharks. Get them labeled, get them tied ahead of time so that when the fish start pouring through and the tide's right, you're not wasting time.
Stop right there. Just wait. He's on it. He's searching. Strip hard. Yes.
I don't know where that other one went, but holy cow, he was giant.
That's all 50-pound fluorocarbon on there, right to the wire.
Okay. He's not sure what he ate, but he knows he's not real happy about it.
What do you call that thing that was in that fly?
Oh, a E-chip.
E-chip. Man, he locked onto it big time.
Lift. First time he sees the boat, he's gonna probably go absolutely nuts.
Nice.
There he is.
There he is. Get him in close, I'll grab his dorsal.
At this point, you want to make sure you don't high stick and break your rod, so I tend to kind of put it under my arm. Lift. This is a form of professional wrestling.
You got it?
I had it. All right, we'll put the screws to him now. He was caught and basically released here, so.
I got the stick in.
All right.
All right, I got it. Time to play rodeo. The thing to remember with a shark is they're all cartilage, which means he can spin all the way around and bite his tail, which means you never put your hands in the water with a shark.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. For more information on this episode and others in our series, visit us on the web at thenewflyfisher.com. From all of us here at The New Fly Fisher, thanks for joining us, tight lines, and we'll see you next week.